All right, guys, thanks for joining me today. I am going to share with you 4 or 5 really good books that I think most men would love to read. You may not have a habit of reading, but I would hope that you would develop one. If you have a struggle with that, then let me know and I'll help you with it. Ask me questions about it and I'll try to answer them directly in another video. But reading is a great outlet, and it's a great way to stimulate your mind, entertain you, distract you, and educate you. And I think it's just a great way to build your character and your social skills, if nothing else. So anyway, I'm gonna share with you 5 books that I think most men would love to read. And I say men because whenever women come up to me and say something about me reading, which they seem to like, I don't know why. I don't know. It seems to be somewhat of a turn on to them. But anyway, when they talk to me about it, I'll ask them, well, what do you read? And it's never the same kind of material. So that's why I say most women don't like to read true crime or history or anything like that. I like to read a lot of nonfiction. However, the first book I'm going to share with you is a crime novel called Tampa Heat, and this is written by Thad Diaz. Now, I was down at Dixieland Market here in Lakeland at night one time, and he had a booth set up, and I walked up to it because I was a little curious. The cover drew my attention. It was just an attractive cover. This is the Tampa skyline on the Tampa Riverwalk. Beautiful picture, by the way. And he asked me if I liked crime novels, and I said, well, I don't really read a lot of nonfiction. But he started to tell me about this book, and he sold me on it. It just sounded really, really good. Let me grab my glasses here. Let me read what it says on the back about it, and I'll tell you a little bit about him. Really cool guy, really nice guy. He's written 19 novels, including some of which are sci-fi. Like he told me they were kind of like cyberpunk sci-fi, and I don't read a lot of sci-fi either, but I probably will read through his series. Anyway, here's what Tampa Heat says on the back. Beneath Tampa's tropical majesty lies a sinister past. Logan Walsh can take the heat. He fought fires for 2 decades. But when he helps his bail bondsman father chase down a skip, things go sideways. People start getting hurt. People close to Logan. Now this treacherous tale of biker gangs, crooked cops, and greedy land speculators threaten to burn more than his career. His floundering marriage, his life, even his kids are on the line. And he must find a way to get at these players and unravel a mystery that stretches across decades to one of Tampa's darkest chapters. This was such a fun read. It moved at a very rapid clip. You don't have to worry about any big words or anything like that. This book is just downright entertaining. And I could not wait to get into it every day to see where it was going to go. I like the idea of a firefighter, of all people. You just don't see that. You don't really see that in crime novels, a firefighter helping his bail bondsman father chase skips. And that was cool. That's cool. It's a really great storyline. Anyway, what I loved about this book is that I recognize all the landmarks he's talking about in here because, well, I'm from this area. And so it was very easy for me to imagine. But even if you're not from here, you're going to have fun, a lot of fun reading this. So if you like crime novels, pick up Tampa Heat. Here's what it says about Thad Diaz in the back. And like I said, I've had the opportunity of meeting him, talking to him for quite a while. Really nice guy. Thad Diaz was a Tampa Bay firefighter for 25 years. He wrote sci-fi and fantasy under the name T. Allen Diaz, but he's always been a fan of hard-boiled mysteries. And you can tell, because that's the way this book reads. So when a fellow employee told him how he spent his days off chasing bell jumpers, Diaz knew there was a story in that. Now that he no longer rides the fire trucks or works for the county, he can tell the story without reservations or concerns for his career. I asked him about that. I said, what do these guys think of your books now? He says, well, they don't really talk to me that much. The Cigar City Case Files, which you'll see right here. The Cigar City Case Files are based in Tampa and occur in actual or fictionalized places tailored to this great city, making the most of its glorious beauty and gritty underbelly as only a native can. So I highly recommend Tampa Heat. I'll leave a link down below, and for the other books I'm going to show you likewise. I actually made a walk tour video of the Tampa River Walk, this very same place, about a year and a half ago around Christmas time, 2022. I'll try to leave a link to that video at the very end of this video, but a lot of people seem to like it, and I want to make another one down there too. But that's why I like this cover so much. It's very colorful, and I was like, I recognize this place. Yeah, this building right here. A lot of people call it the beer can tower, or something like that, because it's very round, like a beer can. Anyway, so while I was there this last time, I picked up his second novel in the series called The Gasparilla Job. And it's also in the Tampa River Walk here, just a different angle. I can't wait to get into it. So anyway, make sure you check out Thad Diaz's books, whether you like sci-fi or not true crime. I'm moving on to true crime. But if you like sci-fi or crime fiction, hard-boiled detective mysteries, which are really cool, it's fun. Like I said, I don't read a lot of fiction, but if I'm going to, it's got to entertain me. I've got to have some kind of takeaway. But it was just downright fun to read. Now, one of the latest historical books that I read, and this is true crime, is called Rogues Gallery. This is written by John Aller. It was copyrighted in 2021, so it's fairly new. And you can see on here, it's a very, very old picture. It looks staged. It probably kind of is, but this is a real criminal, and he was resisting having his mugshot taken, which is what you see here. They're having a lot of trouble restraining him and getting him to cooperate. But this is a real incident here. But anyway, it says the birth of modern policing and organized crime in Gilded Age New York. So this really traces the nascent stage, or the nascent age, of the New York Police Department, and all the good and the bad things about it, and the corrupt politicians and even corrupt policemen throughout this, and just all the different things that were so fascinating. Anyway, so let me tell you what it's about based on the leaflet here. It says Rogues Gallery is a sweeping epic tale of two revolutions, one feeding off the other, that played out on the streets of New York City during an era known as the Gilded Age. For centuries, New York had been a haven for crime. A thief or murderer not caught in the act nearly always got away. But in the early 1870s, that's how far back this goes, an Irish cop by the name of Thomas Burns, fascinating character, by the way, developed new ways to catch criminals. Mugshots and daily lineups helped witnesses point out culprits. The famed Rogues Gallery allowed police to track repeat offenders, and the third-degree interrogation method induced recalcitrant crooks to confess. Yet as policing became ever more specialized and efficient, crime itself began to change. Robberies became bolder and more elaborate. Murders grew more ruthless and macabre, and the street gangs of old transformed into hierarchical, I almost couldn't say that, hierarchical criminal enterprises, giving birth to organized crime, including the mafia. As the decades unfolded, corrupt cops and clever criminals at times blurred together, resulting in waves of police reform at the hands of men like Theodore Roosevelt. This is a tale of unforgettable characters. Marm Mandelbaum, a matronly German immigrant woman who paid off cops and politicians to protect her empire, fencing stolen goods. Clubber Williams, a sadistic policeman who wielded a 26-inch club against suspects, whether they were guilty or not. Danny Driscoll, the murderous leader of the Irish Wiles gang and perhaps the first crime boss of New York. Big Tim Sullivan, the corrupt Tammany Hall politician who shielded the Wiles from the law. The suave Italian Paul Kelly, and the thuggish Jewish gang leader Monk Eastman, whose rival crews engaged in brawls and gunfights all over the Lower East Side, and Joe Petrosino, a Sicilian-born detective who brilliantly pursued early mafioso and blackhand extortionists until a fateful trip back to his native Italy. Set against the backdrop of New York's Gilded Age with its extremes of plutocratic wealth, tenement poverty, and rising social unrest, Rogues Gallery is a fascinating story of the origins of modern policing and organized crime in an eventful era that echoes our own time. This book was so good, it has me turning to the very back where it refers you to other books you may want to read one of which I have. I read another book called The Black Hand some time ago that I recognize from in here, but it has me wanting to read so many more books based on either the characters or anything else that's in here. I absolutely loved Rogues Gallery, so check them out. John Aller, the author, is a retired Wall Street attorney and author of critically acclaimed biographies of Revolutionary War hero Francis Marion, Hollywood actors Jean Arthur, and Civil War socialite Kate Chase Sprague. It's kind of a big read. Takes you some time to get through. It's got, well, I say it is. It's not too bad. It's about, it just looks big. You know, it took me a while to get through it. I read through it slowly. It's got 397 pages. It's a little more than average, but it's good. It's good. Now, here's another true crime novel that I seriously suggest that you pick up. This was a good read. And it's about a serial killer that most people have never heard about. It's called The Case of the Murderous Dr. Cream. Yeah, strange name, I know. It elicits all sorts of thoughts, doesn't it? The Hunt for a Victorian-era serial killer, written by Dean Jobb. This was also copyrighted in 2021. This was so good. Now, Dean Jobb, he's written previous books called Empire of Deception. He won the Crime Writers of Canada Arthur Ellis Award for Best Nonfiction and was a finalist for the Hillary Weston Writers' Trust Prize for Nonfiction. Jobb is the author of 6 other books, and his work has appeared in the Globe and Mail, the Toronto Star, and the Irish Times. So let me tell you about The Case of the Murderous Dr. Cream. Man, this is really good. When a doctor goes wrong, he is the first of criminals, Sherlock Holmes observed. At the time those words by the world's most famous fictional detective appeared in print, a real-life Canadian doctor was stalking and murdering women in London. Dr. Thomas Neil Cream had been a suspect in the deaths of 2 women in Canada and had killed as many as 4 people in Chicago before he arrived in London in 1891. The Lambeth Poisoner, as he was dubbed in the press, became one of the most prolific serial killers in history. In this compelling book, Dean Jobb takes readers inside Scotland Yard's desperate search for a killer as brazen and efficient as Jack the Ripper. The first complete account of Dr. Cream's crimes and his many victims, it explores how bungled investigations and the stifling morality and hypocrisy of the Victorian era allowed this monster to kill and kill again. A lot of people don't know about this guy, and when I read it, I was like, why haven't I heard of him? Why has this? It's not even I don't hear talked about on TV. It's just crazy that it's not more well known. But look at this guy's picture. Here's a picture of Dr. Cream. This guy's dapper, man. Let me show you that. Let me show you this picture. Look at him. Look at that mustache. I mean, if I was going to be a serial killer, I'd want to look like that. I don't know. Anyway, cool book. I highly recommend that. Another book I'm still reading this one. David McCullough's The Greater Journey, Americans in Paris. Anything David McCullough writes is really good. I've read his book, The Great Bridge, about the building of the Brooklyn Bridge. I've read The Path Between the Seas, about the building of the Panama Canal. His biography on John Adams, the Johnstown flood. What else have I read by him? Anything he's written is really, really good. I love David McCullough. In fact, all history writers should be taking notes from him and observing the way he writes, because he is so understandable. He makes you want to just keep on reading and never put the book down. Anyway, so David McCullough, he's just been a favorite of mine. I can recommend anything he's written. So in The Greater Journey, he tells the enthralling, inspiring, and until now untold story of the adventurous American artists, writers, doctors, politicians, and others who set off for Paris in the years between 1830 and 1900, hungry to learn and to excel in their work. What they achieved would profoundly alter American history. Elizabeth Blackwell, the first female doctor in America, was one of this intrepid band. Another was Charles Sumner, whose encounters with black students at the Sorbonne inspired him to become the most powerful voice for abolition in the U.S. Senate. Friends James Fenimore Cooper, who wrote Last of the Mohicans and the Pathfinder. Friends James Fenimore Cooper and Samuel F.B. Morse worked unrelentingly every day in Paris. Morse not only painting what would be his masterpiece, but also bringing home his momentous idea for the telegraph. Harriet Beecher Stowe traveled to Paris to escape the controversy generated by her book, Uncle Tom's Cabin. Almost forgotten today, the heroic American ambassador Elihu Washburn bravely remained at his post through the Franco-Prussian War, the long siege of Paris, and the nightmare of the Commune. His vivid diary account of the starvation and suffering endured by the people of Paris is published here for the first time. So, man, I am learning so much about the early figures that appear in this book. They were usually in their early 20s when they appeared in Paris in the 1830s. He actually goes further back than that. He tells you about how they journeyed over there from America to there, the boat ride and everything they had to endure and the settling down. He talked about how friendly the French people were to the Parisians were to the Americans. And one of the things that I remember is that American men were kind of turned off by Parisian men because most of them had facial hair. There's an abundance of beards, mustaches, and mutton chops. And it said it made the women appear that much more appealing. Which, I mean, do they need that? That's what I thought. I don't care about that. But anyway, I guess it wasn't a fashion in America at all. And they were just kind of blown away by how many Parisian men had facial hair. I remember that because of the beard. But anyway, there's a lot of things I did not know about figures that were recognizable to me in here that I've read about in other books. So he touches on a lot of things that I would not have otherwise known. And this book was copyrighted in, let me look at it. This book was copyrighted in, 2011. I actually thought it went back further than that. So, yeah, pick up this book by David McCullough. I'll leave a link for that also. The last book I'm going to show you that I cannot leave a link for, I cannot find it anywhere. This book was written in 1928. It's 98 years old. I found this in an antique shop, bought it for anywhere between $3 to $5. It's called The Inspiration of Life. It's a collection of essays and sermons and things like that by different well-known figures from a long, long time ago. It's not a self-help book about how to do this or that in so many simple steps. It's just them talking about people in history who've done marvelous things that the history itself has seemed to have forgotten about. And it's really hard to get into. It's a very deep read. I have to read it slowly, but I'll probably finish this today. I only have about 50 pages left. I wish I could leave you a link for this, but I cannot find it anywhere. But I did want to tell you about this 98-year-old book. It's a gem. Anyway, those are the ones I wanted to share with you today. I hope you've enjoyed those a lot. Do make sure you check the description down below for links to these books, and tell me if you got any of these for yourself. Let me know if you've ever read them already and what you thought of them, because chances are somebody watching this has actually read at least one of these. So anyway, I've enjoyed presenting them to you. I need to do more of these, and I hope that you've gotten something out of it. All right, guys, I got to get going. I hope you enjoy your day. I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you very much.